I'm gonna start things off then. So hi everybody. Welcome to tonight's Sappy Hour. My name is Mike Burrell. I'm the Atlas coordinator. And we're excited for tonight's Sappy Hour special edition trivia. For those of you who have never joined us on a Sappy Hour is our play on words. It's sort of a play between happy hour and well as our mascot Sammy the Sapsucker, Sappy Hour. They give us a chance to discuss various topics. Usually we have a specific topic in mind and have a guest speaker. Tonight's a little different because we're doing a fun trivia night. We do have a special guest join us for that. Um, there will be some time after the trivia for some questions. We'll do a few announcements and then questions that could be related to back to our trivia questions if you wanted to ask more about that. Or if you have any Atlas specific questions you want to ask, that's the time to do it. Um, the meeting is being recorded, so if you missed something you want to go back, it'll be on the Atlas YouTube channel. And we're also being joined by a few folks on our Facebook Live feed. If you have questions, please type them in the Q&A. You can use the chat to just chat, or if you have technical issues, you can use that. Um, and yeah, so I'd like to introduce the other speakers on tonight. So we've got Kaylin Bumelis, who everybody probably here knows. Kaylin's the Atlas project manager. Her and I basically tag team running the Atlas these days. And then we're also joined by Sarah Rupert, who again probably doesn't need any introduction. A lot of you probably know her from visiting Peely. And before we get right into the trivia, I wanted to give a land acknowledgement. So we always start these with a land acknowledgement, and although we're joining from all over the province or maybe even beyond, we're all situated on Indigenous treaty lands and traditional territories. I'm currently in the Peterborough area, which is located on Treaty 20 Michi-Saagiig territory and in the traditional territory of the Michi-Saagiig and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations, which include Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Rama, Beausoleil, and Georgina Island First Nations. Since Atlas 3 is a province-wide initiative, there are many diverse Indigenous communities, territories, and treaty lands where we live, work, or undertake our atlasing. As birders, we have a strong connection to the land. We see the daily changes happening, especially this time of year. But we also see the changes that are happening over the course of our lives. Some of them are good, some of them not so good. Our strong connection to the natural world is even more reason to recognize and reflect upon whose land you're on in your own regions. Yeah, and if you want to explore whose land those are, Kaylin's popped a link in the chat. Okay, I'm gonna start our slides, so give me a second here. Share our screen. All right, are we up and running? Perfect. Okay, so it is trivia night. Uh, Pretty fun. Kaylin was reminding me that we did a sort of mini version of this way back, basically 5 years exactly. April of 2021 when we were launching the Atlas, we had some trivia. So we haven't done it for a while, but I'm excited for tonight. So the way we've set things up, we've got five categories, and we're gonna have five questions in each category, and we're gonna give the question, and then we'll take up the answer immediately after each one. So we'll do five questions, then we'll move on to the next category. Sarah and I are going to take turns doing the different questions in the different categories. So the first category is over to you, Sarah.
So this is just some mixed trivia about birds to get us going. So let's go to our first question there, Mike. So question one, there are many different ways to describe the color brown on birds, which is not used in the name of a North American bird. Is it fulvous, ruddy, buff, or ochre?
Okay, and I should have given a bit more instructions on how the questions are going to come out. They're going to be multiple choice. and we'll pop up the poll for those of you who are on Zoom. For those of you on Facebook, please just type in the letter of the answer you think is right, and you don't have to participate. You can write down your guesses on at home, but keep track of which of how many questions you get right because we'll have a prize for the winner at the end. That's it for me.
All right. Okay, I think we can move on to question number 2.
We've got our answers here first. Sorry, sir.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, we'll work the bugs out here. So yeah, we're gonna do the answer for each question and then move on to the next question.
All right, so the answer is okra.
How do people do there, Kaylin?
Seems like most people got this one right. 73% of people guessed the correct answer there, and we have one person on Facebook as well who got the correct answer.
All right.
Okay. So, question number 2. Small birds living in cold climates need a lot of energy to keep flying and avoid hypothermia. How many large pizzas would a 100-pound human need to eat every day if they had the metabolism like a kinglet? And it's interesting, I had a thing come up in my feed today about kinglets feeding on the ground like sparrows because it was a cold April day. So this is an appropriate question. So is it 5 pizzas? Is it 10 pizzas? Is it 15 to 20 pizzas, 25 to 30 pizzas, or 50 pizzas?
So it seems like people are not sure about this. We have a pretty even spread in terms of answers. So I'm going to give it another couple seconds to see if we have a tiebreaker here. And then we'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and end the poll now.
Here it
So
comes.
Okay, and the answer is 25 to 30 pizzas.
So that one pulled ahead just at the very end there. 38% of people guessed 25 to 30 pizzas. The
Pizza.
15, yeah, the 15 to 20 and 50 were kind of close second and third there, but yeah, it looks like most folks got that one right.
All right. So, question 3. Why do some birds eat flaking chips of paint off building exteriors? A. Paint is addictively sweet to birds like sugar. B. They mistaken it for lichen on tree bark. C. To bind heavy metals in their body and flush them out. D. For extra calcium to make strong eggshells. E. They saw their friends doing it.
People are slow to answer this one. People are not entirely sure, I don't think, about where this is going. So we'll give them a. We only have 9 people that have answered. About half the folks have answered so far. Give you another couple seconds, but I'm going to end the poll. Okay, we're ending it.
All right.
So it looks like B is the highest answer by everyone who's answered here, but what have we actually got here?
It's actually D. They're looking for extra calcium for eggshells. So if we see that happening during breeding season, we know why they're doing it.
Cool.
All right. Many birds that eat mostly seeds or fruit switch to catching large numbers of insects in late spring and summer. Why? A, insects have the most calories. B, they are overcome by an instinct to chase moving targets. C, their growing chicks need extra protein. D, to protect their nests from insect infestation.
Right, answers are coming in. We have almost everyone answered, so I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. Looks like most folks are answering C, so I've just closed the poll.
All right. And you guys are bang on the money with that one. It is C. The chicks need the extra protein.
Right.
All right. And the
the last
last
question of this category.
Yep. Bird senses are truly amazing. Which of the following have birds not been demonstrated to sense? Is it A, UV light, B, magnetic fields, C, air pressure, D, ultra high frequency, or E, none of the above?
About half the people have answered so far. I'm not sure. People have been burned before with the wrong answer, so they're taking their
If they
time.
don't like this category, they're not going to like some of the later categories.
Okay, we have most of the answers here, so I'm going to go ahead and end the poll.
All right.
Most people answered E.
None of the above. All right. Well, it's actually ultra high frequency. Um, and there's been a lot of studies that show magnetic fields, especially with migration, air pressure. If anyone's watched swallows on a day when there's a front coming through, you can see a reaction to air pressure that they can sense. And they've also shown UV light as another one of those magical things, especially nighttime creatures. So I'm going to pass it back over to Mike now, and he's going to ask you some more questions.
All right. So our next category is geographic mysteries. So I don't know if you can guess what that means. If you guessed atlas maps, you're right. So we've got 5 maps coming up. Every single question is the exact same. What species does this map belong to? So this is a rotating square map. So showing Atlas 1, Atlas 2, Atlas 3. The colors correspond to yellow is possible, orange is probable, and red is confirmed breeding evidence. And we're just looking at how has the square distribution changed from Atlas 1 to 2 to 3. So this one, I will give you a hint because it's our first map of the night. This is a species that mostly was absent in southern Ontario in the first atlas. There was more of them in Atlas 2, and then there's a whole lot in Atlas 3.
I'm going to give people another few seconds to take a look at the map in case when I launch it, it stops the playing of the
Right.
GIF.
Yes, we've
All
been
right.
burned on that one before.
Yeah, take a good look just in case it pauses, and then we'll start the poll here. Okay. It looks like, okay, so I've started the poll and it's still going. So I think we're
All right.
good. All right, people are feeling more sure about this. Everyone answered like right away. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll, even though it's only been 15 seconds. Most people said bald eagle, followed closely by trumpeter swan.
Okay. Those are both good. They're all good guesses. All those species on there could have shown a similar pattern, but the right answer is bald eagle.
More than half of the folks got the right answer on that one.
All right. Let's try another one of these similar rotating maps. So question 2 is same idea, except now we're really talking about a species only found basically in southern Ontario. And instead of increasing, it's decreasing in terms of the number of squares present.
All right, I'm gonna launch the
Gonna
poll
risk it.
earlier this time. I'm gonna risk it and we'll see what happens there. Okay, it's still going. So people are feeling more confident on these ones. Still give it another 5 or so seconds. Okay. All right, I'm going to end the poll.
Poll is ended. And the
Yep.
correct answer is
Most folks answered E, so
all right. We got a sharp, I guess we got atlasers on here. They know the distribution. So yeah, that species really has dropped off the map, literally, over the course of the 3 atlases. A lot fewer squares between Atlas 1, 2, and 3. Okay, we're going to change the map style slightly. We're going to look at this map, which shows the same thing, the square distribution and change, but only in showing one single image. So the yellow and oranges are places where the species was found in earlier atlases, but has been lost, no longer found there in this current atlas. And the blues are ones where we have gained them. So light blue was a gain after the first atlas, so between Atlas 1 and 2, and dark blue is a gain between Atlas 2 and 3, so a more recent range expansion.
all right. People are less sure about this one. They're still taking a moment to absorb what Mike is saying about the square colors.
Yeah, so maybe I'll explain it again. So gray, I didn't even say what gray is. Gray is places where atlas squares where the species was found in all 3 atlases. A yellow square is a place where it was found in Atlas 1 but not in Atlas 2 or 3. An orange is a place where it was found in Atlas 2 and then not in Atlas 3 so far. And then light blue is a place where it was not found in Atlas 1, but it was in Atlas 2. And dark blue is it was not found in Atlas 2, but has been in Atlas 3. So yellows and oranges are places where we seem to have lost the species, and blues are places we seem to have gained them. And the shade really just tells you how recently that change happened.
Perfect. Okay, we've had everyone answer here, so I'll go ahead and end the poll.
All right. And what was the
2/3 of people said common raven.
All right. 2/3 of people are correct. So common raven has expanded south off the edge of the Canadian Shield in Atlas 2, and then has continued that expansion southwest into southwestern Ontario in Atlas 3. All right. Next one, same idea, same style of map. Again, focusing in on southern Ontario more so. And instead of showing a lot of blues, we're seeing a lot of yellows and oranges.
You people were really confident, and everyone else is taking a moment to think about it.
Okay. You're allowed to think about it.
Oh, they're coming in quicker now. So we have some folks participating on Facebook too, which is really great.
Excellent.
Okay, I think that we are good to end the poll.
All right.
Just over half said purple martin, and then the rest are kind of split between loggerhead shrike and eastern towhee. So
Okay.
about 20% for each of those, and then just over 50% for purple martin.
Okay. Well, the majority gets it again. Purple martin is correct. But those other guesses are good guesses too. They're both species that we've got them in fewer squares in a lot of places. All right, last map. This is a totally different style. This is looking at abundance, relative abundance. And so this is showing the relative change or the change in relative abundance between Atlas 2 and Atlas 3. So this is all blue, which are indicating an increase in abundance, in relative abundance. So we're seeing really high increases in relative abundance in southwestern Ontario, and then smaller but still obvious increases in relative abundance in the rest of southern Ontario.
People really went for this one right
Yeah.
off the bat. I feel like they were ready for it.
I feel like our Sappy Hour audience has probably seen this map before. So I shouldn't have
Bit of a
said
head
that.
start for
That was a
them.
hint. Not supposed to give hints.
Okay, pretty well everyone has responded. So, and some on Facebook as well. So I'll go ahead and end the poll. Over 50% of folks said red-bellied woodpecker, but we have a bit of a split in the remaining folks between house wren and Carolina wren.
Okay. I thought I might be able to trick a few people with those wrens. The correct answer is red-bellied woodpecker. Those other ones were good guesses. They probably show a fairly similar relative abundance change map. Okay. I'm gonna do one more category and then pass it over back to Sarah. So sorry, Sarah, you gotta wait another one.
Oh, I guess I can do that.
Okay, so the next category is methodological marvels. Okay. Question 1. What percentage of Atlas checklists were entered via the Nature Counts app in 2024? Is it A, 25%, B, 45%, C, 65%, D, 85%, or E, 95%? Again, if you'd been to all of our Sappy Hours and memorized everything we've ever said, we've told you this answer about a month ago.
Doesn't everyone memorize our Sappy hours?
I sure hope so.
Maybe just Mike and I. All right, some folks on Facebook participating. Good to see. All right, we've got everyone has answered. Most folks said 85%, followed very closely by 65%.
Okay. The correct answer is 65%. Technically 64%. Our breakdown, we get about a third of our data is coming in through the website, NatureCat's website, or eBird imports, but two-thirds are coming in through the app. And that has increased a lot since year one. So very, very happy to see that come along, and the app has improved a lot over the years, thanks to a lot of help from Atlasers giving good input. Okay, question 2. What Atlas region has had the most participants to date? We still got another year to see if we can change this, but the options are A, Ottawa, B, Toronto, C, Norfolk, D, Simcoe, or E, Peterborough. So most participants that have submitted data, technically. This is a tricky one.
I feel like we have a pretty even split so far for people who have responded. Almost 20% per category.
So I will admit, I wrote this question and I made the options, and I was pretty sure I had the right answer in this list of options. And I was correct, but I did not know what was actually the correct answer.
Okay, we have everyone who has responded on Zoom, and they're actually almost all pretty even. Ottawa pulled ahead a little bit. 29% of people said Ottawa, followed closely by Norfolk.
So I will admit again, Ottawa was my guess, but I wasn't sure. I was pretty confident it was going to be one of these five, and I was right. It was in one of these five, but it was not Ottawa. Correct answer is actually Simcoe, with 249 participants submitting data. Ottawa is very close, and depending on who's on this call, maybe this will change by the end of this year. I don't know, little interregional rivalry, perhaps. Okay, question 3. Is it true or false? You must be able to identify greater than 90% of birds in an area by sight and sound to conduct point counts. A, true. B, false. C, this one is to see if you're paying attention. D, so is this one. And E, and this one too.
People aren't sure about this. It's funny, there's only two, well, I mean, there's more than two answers technically, but people are suspicious of you, I think, Mike.
They should be.
Oh, we're at 50%. Oh, one's pulling ahead. 56% and 44%. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll. False one by 2 votes.
Okay.
So 56% of people said false, but 44 said true.
Okay. So this was a bit of a trick question. I was being tricky. The answer is false. And the reason it's false is because even if you can't identify greater than 90% of the birds in your area, you can still conduct a point count using one of our handheld Zoom units and do a digital point count that's then analyzed by experts in the off season. So if you're going to do it in person, then yes, you should have that level of skill. But if you don't have it, you still can help with point counts by doing recordings. Okay, question 4. Which special survey window is open now? Is it marsh birds? B, long-eared owl? C, central owls? D, northern owls? E, B and C? F, C and D? G, none of the above. I used to hate these ones, in university and stuff. They're like C, D, E minus G.
Gotta love those multiples. It's taking me back to undergrad.
Yeah, with double negatives that thrown in there. And
Yeah.
like I said, our job here tonight is not to make this easy.
Okay, I think we've got almost everyone, so I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. Most people said F, followed a little bit behind by E.
All right. Okay, the majority got it then. The answer is F. which means C and D. So central owls and northern owls are both in the survey window. All of April is the survey window for those two special surveys. We are also still in the survey window for eastern screech owls, and we are also in the survey window for northern hawk owl. So there's actually 4 special surveys you could be doing right now. This is the last possible time. At the end of April, we will be done with screech owl. We will be done with central owls. We'll be done with northern owls. So you've got 3 weeks left to help get some of those surveys completed. You don't have to be an expert to do any of those surveys. They're really fun to get out, listen for some owls. So contact your RC if you're interested in helping with some of those surveys. Okay, last question in this category before I turn things back over to Sarah. Question 5. The target number of hours during the peak season in each square is A5, B10, C15, D20, E25. This is one of those questions that Kaylin and I think about every single day, and probably everybody else thinks about pretty much once a year, if that. So interesting to see how people do.
Honestly, most people have answered at this point, and almost everyone voted D. There's a few folks who voted E, but 88% of people voted D.
All right, awesome. So D is the correct answer. We're looking for 20 hours of effort during the peak season. So May 24th to July 10th in Southern Ontario and June 1st to July 10th in North. Trying to get 20 hours in every square. Awesome. Okay. Over to you, Sarah.
All right. We're gonna leave the land of statistics and start to use our imaginations. If anyone's ever been to the OFO convention, you know what's coming. If you haven't, we're going to be using our imaginations. I'm going to be showing you the color on birds, but only a single color on a bird, and you're going to have to try and figure out what it is. So let's do did we put the example slide in?
I've got the example in, yeah.
Yeah. So if we saw this, there's the yellow, that's the cheer up buttercup. And what you want to do is guess what it is. And this one is a blue-winged warbler. So let's roll and see if we can figure out what these birds are without too much groaning. All right. So we've actually made it a little bit easier here than what I do usually because you have multiple choice. So the answer is up there. So what bird do you think this is? It is a saffron finch, an eastern meadowlark, a blue-winged warbler, a yellow warbler, or an American goldfinch.
We'll give folks 5 or so more seconds before we end. Some of you guys are holding out on us. I see how many people have responded.
This is the easiest one.
Yep.
Don't say that. They'll drop off the call. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. 88% of folks said yellow warbler, and then some folks said goldfinch.
All right. This is a yellow warbler. So this is we've got warmed up. Now we're going to go on to another one. Might be a little harder, but just remember, try and visualize yellow on birds. All right. So do you think this is an evening grosbeak, a blue-winged warbler, a western tanager, American goldfinch, or eastern meadowlark?
I should also say, if I was on the receiving end of this and not the one running the polls, I would probably get every single one wrong.
Usually this category, when Sarah does this at the OFO convention, I think you're doing pretty well if you get like 20% right.
And there's usually a lot of groaning in the room at the time too.
Yeah.
We got to make it a little bit more difficult for our Atlas, Sappy Hour regulars who may have seen some of our maps before. Got to throw a wrench into things a little bit.
Well, and it's a good practice too, is just, getting quick glimpses of birds in the field too, starting to see like patterns and shapes. So,
Definitely. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and end our poll here.
all right.
Most people, 63% of people said goldfinch. We had about a quarter of folks say grosbeak, and then an eastern meadowlark.
All right, let's reveal the answer. It is the American goldfinch.
All right, well done, everybody.
Excellent.
It's
All
only going to
right.
get harder, though.
All right, let's go to number three. All right, so do we have a yellow-throated warbler, a Canada warbler, a yellow-throated vireo, a Kentucky warbler, or a yellow-breasted chat in this image?
Don't be shy,
Problem
folks
is
on
there's
Facebook
so
too.
many yellow birds that are yellow.
Yes, well, I
Yep.
think the thing is, look at, like, if you're visualizing this, visualize how extensive that yellow is. And that might help you if you're kind of stuck between two, because I can see there'd be two you might be stuck between here.
And there are indeed two that folks are stuck between here. We'll see if one pulls ahead in the next 10 or 5 seconds. There are some people that haven't quite answered yet. Shout out to those on Facebook who are powering through. Okay. I think those who haven't answered are just a little bit stumped. So most folks answered, and I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. We have a bit of a tie, almost a tie, between yellow-throated vireo and yellow-breasted chat. Yellow-throated vireo is at 38% of folks, and then yellow-breasted chat is 31%. So those are
All
the two
right,
highest ones here.
so let's reveal the answer. That's that yellow-throated vireo. So you can see the chat would have had the yellow going back much further. So,
Well done,
hey,
though. That
Glenn, you
was
guys are doing well.
yeah,
I'm impressed. Though I
too.
think Mike picked, I think Mike was nice in picking out what I had. All right, let's go on to number
There's
four.
some pretty hard ones still. We've got two more left.
All right. Okay, here we go. Yes, I remember the groans on this one. So, in this one, what are we looking at? Are we looking at a green-winged teal, a yellow-rumped warbler, Bahamian waxwing, Cape May warbler, or an American redstart?
Tough one.
Yes, it is.
We're almost at the end.
This is where we start to use our imaginations a bit and try and figure out like what parts of the bird might we be seeing these yellow bits on.
Taking time to think it through, which is good. We have a tie. So if you haven't responded yet, you could be the tiebreaker. Now no one's gonna respond. Okay, in 5 seconds, I'm gonna end the poll. We're still on the tie, so we might just have to accept that. Okay, I'm ending it. We do still have the tie between yellow rumped warbler and Bohemian waxwing.
All right.
Hey,
Well, let's see who's right. It is the Bahamian waxwing.
well done, everybody.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Okay, last one.
Okay. So, are we looking at yellow-throated warbler, yellow-rumped warbler, cedar waxwing, yellow-bellied sapsucker, or yellow-throated vireo?
This is our last and hardest one. So Don't be shy. Those on Facebook. I know some have been contributing as we've gone along here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the polls. Oh, someone just got in a last minute entry, so nice work. Okay,
All right.
75% of folks said yellow rumped warbler, and then we have 13% for cedar waxwing and 13% for yellow bellied sapsucker.
All right. Let's do the big reveal, Mike. It is our yellow bellied sapsucker.
That was a really tough
Appropriately
one.
chosen.
There you go.
All right. Hope people had fun with that.
Great
Well, I
work,
had fun.
everyone.
I definitely had fun.
I had fun because I didn't have to answer.
Okay, we've got one more category left, which is code cracking. So one more category, 5 more questions, and then we'll see who got the best score. All right, question 1. What are the 4 categories of breeding evidence codes? So is it A, flyover, possible, probable, confirmed, B, no breeding, likely, possible, definitely, C, observed, possible, probable, verified, D, observed, possible, probable, confirmed, E, observed, potential, probable, confirmed.
This is another one of those undergrad questions. They're
Yeah,
all just
you
slightly
got to
different.
really focus in.
All right. I think we've got most of the answers here. Anyone has a last minute response they want to submit, do so now because I'm about to end the poll. Okay, 95% of folks said D.
All right, 95% are correct. Well done. All
This
right,
is why we needed those color questions.
Yeah. Question 2. The next couple I think are like scenarios. So you hear an American woodcock doing its display flight at the end of April. What code do you use? Is it A, no code, wait until you can visually confirm the species? B, S code for singing? C, the D code for display? D, the P code for pair? E, H code for habitat? I like this one because I've got woodcocks on my yard that are doing this right now. Probably, but when I turn the Sappy hour off, I'll be able to hear woodcocks doing this. So,
All right. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. Someone got in a last minute entry there. So 71% of people said that letter C and that it's a D display. And 20% of folks said letter B and that it was the S singing.
all right. So we always say the breeding evidence codes are nice and simple, very straightforward. And then we give you ones like this that are a bit not intuitive. So the display code is meant to be used when you see 2 or more individuals of the same species interacting together. So if you saw an American woodcock doing its display flight and there was another one sitting there watching it, then you could use the D code. But when it's just one, we want you to use the S code because that display flight is basically the same as if it was an American robin sitting on a branch singing. So this is functionally the same thing as like a songbird singing. So we use the S code. It's the same for ruffed grouse drumming or woodpeckers drumming on a log or something like that. It's just they're basically just singing to advertise their territory, claim territory. So it's the S code. Okay, question 3. You see an American robin sitting on a nest sometime in June. Is it just like this picture here? Is it A, NY, nest with young, B, NE, nest with eggs, C, AE, adult entering, D, the N code for nest building, E, V code for visiting probable nest site? We need like Jeopardy music.
I know. Yeah. I think we're almost there though. We'll give it a second. All right, I'm gonna end it. 65% of folks say it's adult entering, and 35% said nest with eggs.
Okay. So the correct answer is C, adult entering. So the main thing to keep in mind is we never want you to guess. So if you said nest with eggs, you do not know there's eggs there. There's quite possibly eggs in that nest, but there could be really young in that nest as well. So the thing we know is that's a nest and there's an adult entering its nest, or sitting in this case, actually sitting on it. So we want you to use the AE code. If you see that there are eggs, then yes, put the nest with eggs code. If you see there's young, use the nest with young code. But if you do not see either of those or hear the young, then we want you to use the AE code. Okay. Question 4. You see a barn swallow disappearing into a barn sometime in June. Is this the N code for nest building? AE for adult entering. C, CF for carrying food. V, visiting probable nest site. Or E, the NY code, which is for nest with young.
But I feel like people are getting this one.
Good. I've tricked them too many times.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'll give you guys 5 more seconds. All right, I'm ending the poll. 88% of people said it would be visiting probable nest site. A couple people said adult entering.
Okay. Excellent. So that's very good. The majority got the question right. So the reason we wouldn't use adult entering is because we don't know there's an S there. Again, we don't want you to guess. There's probably a nest site there, but you're not sure. So that's why we use the V code, which is a probable code visiting a probable nest site. Same thing if you saw like a barn swallow disappearing under a bridge. If you can't actually see the nest for sure, then use the V code, which is still quite a high level code, a probable code. But if you want to actually get it to the confirmed level, you got to see that nest. Okay, last question of the night. Today in Southern Ontario, you heard an American robin singing. Is this A, the H code for habitat, B, the S code for singing, C, the T code for territory, D, do you leave it blank, or E, the P code for pair?
Okay, I'll give you guys another 5 seconds. I think we have a bit of a split here. People are
Yeah.
not super sure. All right, I'm gonna end the poll. So 44% of people said it was singing, 33 said habitat, and 22 said to leave it blank.
All right. So this one is a perfect example that if you were using the Nature Counts app, you would increase your chance of getting this question right drastically because the Nature Count app would say, hang on, you're in the period of time where they might be breeding, but they might also just be passing through. So don't use those low level codes like H and S. Wait till you have higher level breeding evidence. So we want you to leave this blank this time of year for American robin, species that could be migrating through still. But I guess I should show that. If you had the app, it'll tell you, yeah, give it another couple weeks. But if you see high level breeding evidence, like a bird carrying nesting material, then go ahead and put that in. But for now, leave it blank until we're sure that the migrants are done passing through and it's definitely a breeding bird in that area. So that's one of the many reasons I love the app. It makes that sort of thing so easy. I don't have to memorize all those dates or carry with me like a printout of the breeding seasons. Okay, so that is our trivia. We have got 25 questions in the bag. Um, can we get a show? Did anybody get more than 20 questions right?
Maybe just post in the chat if that's the case. I don't
Yeah,
think anyone could put their hand up.
right. You can't put your hand up. If you got over 20, post your score. How many questions you got right in the chat or on Facebook? Did anybody get over 20?
We might be trying to find the chat too.
Fair enough.
Everyone should, I mean, if you're comfortable, post how many you got in the chat. Both on, I've posted on Facebook or even on Zoom if you feel confident enough. A lot of them were really tough, so
There was
there's
a lot
no
of hard
problem.
ones. We purposely trying to trick you.
15 is pretty good, all
15,
things considered.
excellent.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's like 3 of the 5 categories, getting all of them right. Jason Miller on Facebook, 16 with a sad face. I think 16 is great considering how tricky we were with a lot of those questions. So, I mean, 16 and 15 are our highest score so far.
Okay. Well, you have the rest of this meeting to get your score in there. If anybody can beat 16, get it in there. We'll send out a hat to whoever has the highest score. So you might get a follow-up from us to get your address. We've got our addresses on here. You probably know all these things already. If you're at a Sappy Hour, you probably found us through one of these, but wanted to make sure those are there. Um, Before we get into questions, or do you want to do questions first, or do you want to do announcements first?
Um, why don't we do announcements first, and that will give some folks some time to post their questions if they have any.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think in the Q&A, some folks were just saying that they couldn't see the answer box. I think some of the polling was blocking something for
Oh,
some folks.
okay.
Sorry, I didn't see that earlier, everyone. I was, yeah, running the polls. So yeah, why don't we do announcements? And if anyone has questions on Facebook, post them in the comments. If you have questions on Zoom, please post them in the Q&A.
All right. Cool. That sounds good. I've also got the slides up, so that makes sense. I'm sharing the slides. So the one announcement I wanted to make was, if you liked this trivia, if you had fun, we're gonna do like a season-long challenge. We'll be posting about it fairly soon, where we're gonna give you basically a bingo card of a whole bunch of different things, like a scavenger hunt, basically, of atlasing milestones for you to try to achieve through the course of this final year. And then at the end of the summer, we'll have you submit your success rate, and then we're gonna pick somebody to win a pair of binoculars. So keep an eye out for that. Our Atlas year-long sort of scavenger hunt or bingo card is going to look like. Another announcement I wanted to make was that there's lots of. We talked a little bit about the owl surveys, but I'll mention it again. The screech owl surveys, northern owls, central owls, and northern hawk owls are all going on right now. So if you're interested in helping with that, please contact your RC so that we can avoid any duplication of effort. You can also go to the Atlas coverage map and search for those particular surveys to see what squares haven't got survey coverage yet. And then you can sort of target a square and say, okay, RC, I'd like to do this square. Doesn't look like it's got covered. Um, this time of year is an awesome time of year to go and find some of our resident species like woodpeckers, chickadees, cardinals. They're all setting up breeding now. Some of them aren't in those safe dates yet. So like the robin, try to get higher level breeding evidence or see if you can get a singing bird a week apart. So then you can use the T code. It's also the best time of year to find stick nests. So bald eagles are probably feeding young now. Red-tailed hawks are sitting on eggs. Great horned owls are feeding young. Common ravens might have young now. Crows are building nests. All the accipiters, I guess they're not accipiters anymore. Cooper's hawk, sharp-shinned hawk, goshawk, they're all building nests or sitting on eggs. So great time of year with the leaves off to drive around and try to find those stick nests and scope them or binocular them to see what's sitting on them. So lots of great opportunity to do atlasing this time of year, for some things that are going to get harder to find later in the breeding season when everything else is around. So that's my announcement, and then I'm going to turn it over to Kaylin for another set of announcements.
Great. Yeah, I just wanted to remind everyone about our kickoffs and square bashes that are coming up. So we have some Atlas Run kickoffs and Atlas Run square bashes, which the kickoffs are the Kingston kickoff on April 26th from 9 to noon. The Kitchener kickoff, April 26th as well from 9:30 to 12:30. And then in Sarnia on the Sunday, April 27th from 9:30 to 12:30. And then the regional coordinator for Ottawa, Region 24, is going to be giving a talk at Wild Birds Unlimited Thursday, May 1st from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And he's also planning to do another kickoff that Sunday, the upcoming Sunday on May 4th, but the details are still to be determined. And then for square bashes, some Atlas Run square bashes, the Grey Bruce Square Bash at Cedar Rail Family Campground from May 23rd to May 28th, our Silent Lake Square Bash from May 30th to June 4th, and then the Bonachera Square Bash from June 6th to June 11th. The Northumberland RCs, our regional coordinators, are going to do a mini square bash on Sunday, June 1st from 8 until 11 a.m. So what I'm going to do is post the links to our kickoff webpage and our Square Bash webpage. We're going to be adding any details that we receive from regional coordinators who are planning to do their own kickoffs or Square Bashes as they kind of plan them. So please keep an eye out on those web pages if none of these kickoffs or Square Bashes are local to you, or if they are and you want to sign up. Then you'll do so through those web pages as well. So I'll just post those in the chat, both on Facebook and on Zoom, so that you guys can sign yourselves up.
Okay. I'm going to stop sharing. Now I can actually see what's going on. So yeah, we've got a few more minutes still. So I don't know. Nobody's at, oh, we have one Q&A in there.
We have one question in the Q&A and we have one question in the chat there. So, and one on Facebook as well. So we have a few questions, and as we answer those, more folks might post theirs as well.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be specific to something we talked about tonight. It can be anything related to the Atlas. So let's try this Q&A. Okay, Dean's wondering about digital point counts, when they're going to get added. Yeah, we're working hard on that. We're waiting on all the data has been interpreted now, or virtually all of it, and we're just waiting on the data to be imported. We're really hoping hard that it gets in the next few weeks, but it's basically beyond our control right now. We're waiting on some other folks to do some of the technical stuff that we're not able to do. So as soon as we can, but we're really hoping to get it in the next few weeks. And once it's in, then we'll be able to send that off to individual contributors.
Great. Okay, one question in the chat. Can you use the app if your phone does not have GPS? Do you want to answer that? You want me to?
Yeah, I can answer that. I mean, so my guess is your phone does have GPS. Most phones have their own GPS unit, and it's not the same as like data. So you can be out in the field and not have cell service, not be able to do basically anything on your phone. You can't make a phone call, you can't go on the internet, you can't get an email, you can't send a text message. But your phone has its own standalone GPS, and that gets a signal from a satellite. So it should work basically anywhere on Earth. Maybe not in like a big cave or something like that where your satellite signal is blocked, but you can use the Nature Counts app even if you don't have cell signal. So last summer I was up on Hudson Bay, um, very far from any cell towers, and I was using the Nature Counts app like mad. And it's great. You can download the maps. You can download maps for offline use, so you can see where you are on the map if you want. You just can't submit the data until you get back to cell signal or a Wi-Fi connection. Oh, it was not a question about cell service. Okay. I have never tried to use it without GPS. So I don't know. Maybe that's you have more insight to that, Kaylin?
Um, yeah, I mean, in terms of it not having a GPS, you can submit historical data. So when you go into the app, you can select where you want to submit a checklist from. And so you could probably still use that function and, select it on the map that way. You might need to have some sort of service to get the map background at any point. And so that there will be an issue of you not being able to see where you're selecting. But yeah, if you don't have GPS and the question is if it can't find where you are, then you can select where you want the checklist to be submitted from.
Right. Yeah, you can use the edit location option.
Yeah. Hopefully that answers. If not, Michael, feel free to comment again. So Garth on
Okay.
Facebook is asking if higher evidence has been submitted, how much time should we give before we should see the change in the square summary sheet?
Okay, yeah, I can cover that one. So, the Square summary sheet should update every 24 hours. There's a little last updated date and time at the bottom of the Square summary sheet. I think the last time I checked, they were updating sometime around 6 p.m. or so every evening. The one caveat there is that Square summary sheet will only reflect data that's been reviewed by regional reviewer. So if it's a species that gets flagged for review, then it has to first get reviewed by the regional reviewer. So that could take a little bit or it could take a while. This time of year, we've got most of the data has been reviewed by RCs, but once we get into the middle of the summer, um, they have more important things to do than reviewing data every night. So a lot of that summer data doesn't get reviewed again until kind of late summer, early fall. Um, but if it's a species that doesn't require review, like if you're not getting asked for details when you enter it, then it should update within 24 hours.
That's all the questions that we have, and we're almost at time here. So probably a good time to let everyone go for the evening, unless there's anything last minute, which oh, never mind. Q&A. Okay, Colleen, last minute entry here. I submitted an off-road point count, but it's not showing up as such on the Square summary sheet.
You want to handle that one, Kaylin, or
Sure. Yeah. Submitted an off-road point count, not
no?
showing.
I can cover it too.
No, I was wondering, yeah, so I guess it depends on when it was submitted. There were some app off-road point counts that were being displayed as on-road in the Square summary sheets that are we're just in the process of fixing now, hopefully before the field season comes around. So if it was submitted at that time, then that's likely the case. That bug has been fixed in the Nature Counts app. So now when you submit a point count and you mark it as off-road, it should actually be submitted as off-road. Anything to add to that, Mike?
No, I think that covers it.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you have a specific question, you can always reach out over our Discord server. That's a great place to ask questions, or you can email the Atlas office. Just keep in mind this time of year is about as busy as we get, and so we're not always able to answer questions right away by email. Um, yeah, I think that's it. So I just wanted to say big thanks to Sarah. Thanks for helping out with trivia. You made it tons of fun. Uh,
Always fun.
yeah.
Always happy to come and help out with these.
Well, we really appreciate you having you, and thanks to Kaylin as well for running things in the background there. I know you had your hands full, and thanks everybody for coming and get out there, get your atlasing in. We're really excited for year 5 to see what we can accomplish.
Great. Thanks so much, everyone. I hope you have a great night.
Bye, everybody.